there, my name is Irene, and in this video, we are going to learn how to make a custom lighting fixture using Revit families. Now, I want to be very clear, this is not for manufacturing purposes, so I am not interested in the lighting fixture being exactly like the reference. I just wanted to approach enough in appearance for the intents and purposes of a design proposal. So let's get to it. All right, so we are in Revit, and the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to start a new Revit family. So we're going to go new, and the template that we're going to choose, I'm going to go with metric. And the template that we're going to choose, we want to make sure that it is lighting fixture. And in this case, despite the fact that the lighting fixture is wall-based, I'm going to be choosing metric lighting fixture, regular, just because I don't necessarily need it to be in a wall. Sometimes you may want it to be in a column or some other kind of geometry that is not in the wall category. So I don't want to have to deal with any of that. So I'm just going to choose metric lighting fixture, and I'm going to go open. Now, the lighting fixture in question that we're going to be building is going to be this guy here. As you can see, it's not that complex, but there is some complexity to it. So it's basically like 3 sheets of metal that seem to be slightly bent. They also seem to be slightly tilted based on what I can see on the pictures, and they are cut in this leaf shape. We also have the detail that it has 2 light sources, so we're going to learn how to do all of this. Now, whenever I work with something like this, what I like to do is if there's any option for me to get any like DWG or image like line work references, I prefer to work with that instead of pictures, because in photographs there can be perspective, the camera angle can affect like the dimensions. So I went here, and on the technical data sheet they have this little image here, which is not perfect, but it will do. So I already took a little snapshot of this guy, and that's what we're going to be using as our reference. So my Revit family is now open. We're starting with the top view. And because it's a lighting fixture family, it comes with a light source. I usually like to switch to a consistent or shaded so I can actually see the light source. Let's also open. So we're going to use the top view. We're going to use the 3D view just to see how it comes along. Again, consistent colors. There you go. Now I can see it. And then I think I want to have a front view. So this is going to be kind of like the placement side of my lighting fixture. And we are going to have a side view, so left or right, it doesn't really matter. Okay, yeah. So these are the views that are going to need. Now, first thing that I need to do is actually unlock my light source, because right now, if we go back to that top view, you're going to see that the light source is attached to my origin axis. So your origin axis are these 2 guys here. So this is your left, right source axis, and then this is your center, like front, back, so to speak. So these 2 axes, you cannot move them, you cannot change them unless you have other ones, because these are basically your placement points. When you go to place that family, that's basically where you're going to be holding it. So we don't want to move those guys. Whatever they are, it's perfect. What we want to do is we want to move these light source away, because we're going to manually place it somewhere with respect to the rest of like my geometry. So what I'm going to do is drag my sphere away, and it's basically going to give me this error message that is going to be like either cancel and then it doesn't do the change, or what I actually want to do, which is remove the constraints. And now my light source is free to move anywhere that I want it to be. Same thing with the front view. So it's still locked to the top, although to be honest, like I don't mind this like height lock. That's fine. So with that out of the way, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring our reference image. The reference image is a front view, so we're going to be working with the front view as well. And we're going to be using that image as kind of like a source to trace our geometry. So I'm going to go here, import image. Now, whenever you bring an image into Revit, you're going to get this warning message. This warning message is basically telling you that you can bring an image into a Revit family, but that image will not show up in your project. So as you can see, like they're basically telling you that the image only works as a reference. And in fact, you should delete it after you're done using it, because it's going to kind of like affect the performance of your family. Okay, so I'm just going to ignore all of that. And I'm going to choose, I think it's this guy here. And yes, it is. So again, this is not a manufacturer quality model. I just want my geometry to approximate this geometry, which is why I'm fine working with like a very pixelated image. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to scale this guy, because right now, this is probably not the right size. So to scale images in Revit, all you need to do is select the image, and you're going to use the scale tool, which is this button here, or quick key RE for resize, RE. Now, when scaling images in Revit, you're going to have two options, graphical and numerical. Numerical is basically order of magnitude. So you're making something 2 times bigger, half the size, so on and so forth. Graphical means that you're going to pick 2 points within the boundaries of that image. And then you're going to tell Revit what distance should be that distance between those 2 points. So for example, I can come here and say, I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click again, it's not going to be super precise because we're working with a pixelated image. There's no inference points or anything. So I'm just going to click here. And then I'm going to say that that distance that I just measured is actually supposed to be 870 millimeters. And we're going to press enter. And there you go. Now my image is resized. Great. So what I'm going to do now, I want to put it somewhat centered with my reference planes. It doesn't have to be perfect because, again, like the lighting fixture is going to move anyway. So I don't know, let's put it like there. Sure. And now what I want to do, again, like we can ignore this guy for the time being. Like we will deal with it later. What I'm going to do now is we're going to start modeling. Now, you can see that basically the lighting fixture is the same detail and it just repeats 3 times. We have these 3 leaves, so to speak. So what I want to do is I want to create some reference planes to kind of like mark where they are so I can see them, because I can only see this image in the front view, but I'm going to need to switch to top view, maybe to left view, maybe to 3D view, and I cannot see that reference image in those other views. So what I like to do is go here and use reference planes to basically mark the boundaries of where this like first leaf is going to be. So let's say one there, one here. Yeah, that looks good enough. And then I'm going to go RP again for reference plane, and we're going to have one right there, and then another one right there. Yeah, that looks good enough. I also want to create a reference plane for the overall depth of my lighting fixture, which you can see here that it's 14 centimeters. So I'm going to go to my top view, and I'm going to say, so the top view, I think this is the back, I think this is the front. We're going to find out. So I'm going to go RP again, and I'm going to put a reference plane, and then I'm just going to change this to 140, sorry, millimeters. So that is going to be overall my entire lighting fixture cannot go beyond this line. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we need to start planning exactly where that light is going to fall. So that is why I like to have the left view, because see, this is my starting point and it's coming, yeah, it's going in the right direction. And then it needs to fit between this line and this line. So basically what I need, because if you look at the image, these sheets are not perfectly parallel with the wall. In fact, they're at a little bit of an angle. So what I need to do is create a reference plane that will be also at an angle so I can use it as a reference. So let me just move this guy just somewhere there. There you go. Why are you so big? There, better. I just want to see this clearly. So the thing is that you kind of have to be careful, because if I just do a reference plane that mimics what is the inclination that I think that that sheet has, which I think is maybe something like 45 degrees, I'm just guessing. The problem is that when you create a reference plane, you have to think about it almost like when you're working with a 3D printer and you have a base and the printing is always on top and like perpendicular to that base. So that is how your reference planes work. So what you need to think about is in terms of when you're setting a work plane, what is the direction that you want that geometry to be generated on? So for example, what I'm intending to do is I want to create an extrusion that then I'm going to use voids to cut into like the final shape that I want. It's not a perfect method, but it's going to be good enough. Now, the problem with that method is that this reference plane is going in the wrong direction. I need to actually go like in the opposite. So just keep that in mind. Like if this is the direction that I want to go, I actually need to then come and create another reference plane that is going to be kind of like perpendicular to that. And that is going to be my extrusion reference plane. So in fact, what I like to do is select this guy and I'm going to rename it to 1. So that way, when I'm looking for it, so I can draw on it, like I don't have to like guess. So how is this going to work? Well, with my reference plane set up to know what is like the total size of my object, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my top view and I'm going to start with my first guy. Wait, where are these guys? Why can I not see them? They might be too short. If I make you longer, will I see you? Yes, they are. Okay, so this is the pinned one. This is the top, this is the front. So basically I need to come out something like this. So what I'm going to do now is in this top view, I'm going to go to create and I'm going to make an extrusion. Now, this is the very important thing. before I make that extrusion, I actually need to set up my working plane, because by default, when you work in a top view, the working plane is going to be basically the ground. And you can actually see that if I go to set, it's going to tell me the reference level. So that is your ground level. So what I want to do here is change this to the reference plane one that I created. So I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to go OK. And now all I'm going to do is draw a little arc that fits within this kind of like frame that I've created. So I also like to do it a little bit away from the wall, and you'll see why in a second. The other thing is that like you don't necessarily need to make it come all the way here to the outside, because two things. Number one, remember that it's going to project in this direction. So overall, that is going to add to the depth. And secondly, there's several of them, and this is not the biggest one. The biggest one should be the one that comes out the most. So if we look at the reference image here, again, it's not the greatest images, but you can see that the tilt seems to be like very light, if any. So I'm going to do something kind of like that, maybe. Sure. Okay. So with that, now I'm going to use the thick line option, and I'm going to give it an offset of like 5 millimeters for thickness. So I can basically create kind of like a metal sheet. 5 millimeters might be a lot of thickness, but like it's fine. Okay, so we're going to close our boundary and close it here on the other side. And when we say yes, this is what we're going to get, which right now does not look great. I'm not going to lie to you. What we want to do here, so this is the important part. So see, this is my reference plane and it's extruding in that direction. I do not need it to go that far, but I do want it to go a little bit far in this direction. And that is because what's going to happen now is that when we create our void is basically going to get rid of anything that is above this reference plane and beneath this reference plane. So for that void part, we're going to go back to the front view. There you go. We can see my drawing is a little bit obstructed because of my geometry. So on this one, I'm going to switch to wireframe. There you go. And now all I need to do is create a void that follows this cut shape here. So I'm going to go create void extrusion. And now I'm going to start with an arc that goes from the edge of my geometry to the outer edge. And it's going to go here up a little bit. And then I'm going to go with a straight line and just make sure that it goes high up enough to basically like cover that extent. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give it a little bit of a gap because I don't want them to be touching. There you go there. And then I'm going to bring this guy a little bit down. And then same thing, straight line, bring it across and close it. And when I finish, this is what we're going to get. Oh, I think it is cutting on one of the sides. Let me switch to the 3D view. Okay, what is going on here? I think, oh, okay. So what we need to do now is that this guy needs to go as far back as this geometry goes. So something like that. There you go. Doesn't need to go that far outside because again, remember these dimensions are not changing. And when I click outside, ooh, look at that. That is the shape that we want. So that's it. As you can see, like usually the hardest part of modeling this kind of geometry is to think about how many pieces you're going to need to build it. Is it all solid? Is it voids? Is it going to be an extrusion, a sweep, a revolve, a blend, like whatever? And then thinking about which direction you need to put your working planes to make sure that it works. So as you can imagine, this guy and this guy are basically repeating the same exercise. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be speeding up through that process. If anything interesting happens, I will like slow down and we will talk about it. But otherwise, I will see you when I'm done doing these other two guys. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I am pausing here for a second and talking again because if you notice, there's a little bit of a problem. Me creating this new void is now affecting this geometry that I created first. So that is because usually by default, Revit will decide who it wants to cut or not with voids. So if this happens to you, the solution is really easy. You're going to go to this cut option, you're going to expand and you're going to find the option uncut geometry, and then you're just going to select the original extrusion, the new void that we created, click, and there you go. Problem solved. Now all I need to do is, same as before, select my void and make sure that it's cutting through all the way through my other object, and there is my second guy. All right, so we are 2 out of 3, one more and we will be done. So I will see you when that guy is done. right, so as you can see now, we have our three forms, which align pretty much perfectly with my front view. But the problem is that if you may have noticed, I don't need these reference planes anymore, sorry. If you may have noticed, when you go to the top view, things don't look so hot. And the problem is, so again, if we go here, you're gonna see that this guy's really far away. Like this is supposed to be kind of like my wall line. So this guy, first of all, is too thick. Like it's going way beyond the threshold that we've established. This guy's a little bit far back, and this guy is a little bit too far off. So there's two problems here. I'm going to start with this guy because it's the easiest one. In this case, what's happening is simply that my arc is too bent. So the solution is relatively easy. All I need to do is select my extrusion, edit it, and what we can do is just like do a softer extrusion if we want to. So let me see. I don't think it's going to let me. Oh, no, yeah, it's going to let me. So if I do something, let's flatten it out significantly, something like that. If I do this, when I finish, there you go, see? Now it's touching. So this is the easiest one to solve. Let me push it back a little bit outside, just a bit, just a little bit. Again, close enough. Now, for these other guys, I could like move the position of the arc much further back to kind of like anticipate for that. So let's try a couple of them and see what works best. So if I go here and I start with this guy first, this, and I go edit extrusion, just for testing, let's see what happens if I put this guy way, way, way far back. And I say yes. Is it going to move it? Yes, but I think that my void is no longer cutting. Yeah, it's no longer cutting through it the way that I want. So first I need to move this guy here, and then I need to move that guy there. And as you can see, like it is doing the cut. Okay, so this is how we can move it far back. The problem with this is that, as you can see, I'm kind of like guesstimating, so to speak. So it's going to require a little bit of trial and error is what I'm trying to say. And there we have it. So there are our three metal elements. You can see them in all their glory. Now, again, these are, when it comes to building families in Revit, not everything needs to be parametric, but you definitely want to consider what are the things that you should be able to change from the project, and then those things should be parametric. So when it comes to the dimensions of the lighting fixture, I am absolutely not concerned about whether they are parametric or not, because the lighting fixture is just one. It comes in one size and that's it. But what you can see here is that the lighting fixture comes in different finishes. So what I do want to do is make sure that the materials are parametric. So for that, I'm going to select my three extrusion elements. And here for the material, I am going to say that I want that to be parametric. So I am going to assign, just for aesthetics, I'm going to assign a metallic finish, just so when I bring it into the project, it already has a material in it. So let's say we're going to go to the metals and see if there's anything pretty that we can use. And we're going to apply and OK. And then what I'm going to do is, again, if I just do this, then it's just going to always be brass. And if I want to change that brass material, I'm going to have to go into edit it. If I want to have different lighting fixtures with different materials, different finishes, what I want to do is come here and create a parametric material property. So I'm going to say that this is going to be like body. And you can decide if you want it to be a type parameter or an instance parameter. Type means that all of them change. Instance means that each of these lighting fixtures within your project can have a different metal finish. I'm going to leave it as a type because I don't know, like I cannot imagine each being a different color. That would be kind of weird. I can always change it later. Okay, so now they have that finish. And now that we have the structure, the fixture portion, we are going to address the light source. So for the light source, you usually need to have two things. So number one is going to be the light source itself. So this is basically the Revit artifact that has in it the script that will create the light that will illuminate the room. That's a mouthful. And the idea here is that you always need to have this guy, because otherwise your light is not going to generate any light that you see. But what I want to do here is I want this guy to also have a visible portion, a glowing portion, because the thing is that these artifacts are invisible. You're never going to see the light source in the project. You only see the light source when you render. And what I want to see here is when I see my rendering, I want to see a little portion that glows. And then my brain is like, ah, that's where the light is coming from. But for that, we need a lighting material. So what I want to do here is I want to create like a little light bulb that will be the thing that contains like that my brain associates like this is where my light is coming from. Now, because in this reference image, you can see that the light source is basically hidden, I could choose to like have that be any shape that I want. I'm just going to make it a circle because. So to make a circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my, first of all, let's place our lighting fixture where we want it to be, shall we? So I'm going to go here to my front view, and I'm going to move back to wireframe. And I'm going to, I should save this. So I'm going to go File, Save As. I've had my computer crash on me recently, so now I'm traumatized. I'm going to put it on my desktop. And the name of the lighting fixture is Lucci Argentati. Lucci Argentati. Okay, so I'm gonna move my first, I'm gonna move this guy here, right there, where it's telling me that the light is. And from the top view, I'm gonna make sure that it is, behind this guy. I'm not concerned about the size of the sphere because you can always change that afterwards. So like that is not a problem right now. There we go. I don't want it to be right against this line because again, this is your wall line. If my light fixture, if my light source goes beyond this line, it's not going to work. It's going to be hidden behind the wall. So I think if I go here on the left side, I think I can actually move it a bit more. Something like that is perfect. Okay, great. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create some geometry that is going to be the part that is going to have my my lighting material, my glowing material. So I'm going to go to my front view and I am going to create a sphere using the revolve tool. So I'm going to go revolve and I'm going to make a little circle right where my light source is. This guy doesn't need to be too big, like 10 millimeter radius for like 20 millimeter diameter, even less. I think like 5 should be enough. Yeah. Now, because it's a revolve, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to go SL to split, and then I'm going to go trim, 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 trim. And then I'm going to choose my axis line to be this guy here, and I'm going to lock it there. And when I finish, I'm going to have a little sphere. There you go, where my light is. Why is it not exactly? Oh, because it created, that's my bad. It's always created like on that base reference line. So what I want to do here is go to my left view. I'm going to select this sphere. What I need to create, I think I'm going to need to create a reference plane for this light source because I want both of them to be in the same place and I don't want this guy to be kind of like trapped on the wall. So I'm going to create a reference plane for my lighting fixture, or I think I can just align it to it. Can I do that? I'm going to select this guy. Yes. And I'm going to pick a new host, which is going to, no, I need to pick a reference plane. I'm going to do a reference plane here. Oops, there. And then I'm going to put this guy there. And now let's see if I can pick a new reference plane. I'm going to need to name this guy. There we go. Let's call this guy light. And let's see if I can just pick a new host for this guy. If I edit my work plane, pick a plane, and I'm going to pick this guy. Yes. Now, don't panic about the message that you're getting. This message here is telling you that the light source is trapped inside solid geometry, and therefore the light will not escape. So this is a very important thing about working with light fixtures in Revit. Light sources are sensitive to geometry. If a light source is inside a geometry that has a solid material applied to it, it will not shine because I like to explain this with the flashlight in a shoebox. If you have a flashlight and you turn it on, the flashlight is on. If you take that flashlight that is on and you put it in a shoebox and you close the shoebox and I ask you, is the light on? The answer is yes. But will you be able to see the light? No, because it's inside of a shoebox. So the solution here is simply going to be to change the material of my little sphere to one that will allow light through. And again, I do not need this material to be parametric because it's not like I'm going to be changing it back and forth a bunch of times. So all I'm going to be doing here is choosing a material, and the AC library has a material that is specifically kind of like to be used for light bulbs, so to speak. So it's under glass and it is called glass white high luminance. So I'm going to bring this guy in and I'm going to say apply and I'm going to say, okay, I'm not concerned with like how intense it is, the color of the light or any of those things right now. I just wanted to have the material applied. Now, this is when we need to address the elephant in the room, because if we go back to our reference, you're going to see that this lighting fixture has actually two sources. It has one here and it has one here. But any Revit lighting fixture can only have one light source. You cannot select this guy and copy it or like delete it or anything. It's one light source. That's it. Thank you very much. So how can I make it so my lighting fixture has two light sources and both of them need to be controlled through the same parameters? Well, what we're going to do is nest a second lighting fixture family. Now, my second lighting fixture family does not need to have the whole structure again. It just needs to be a light source with a geometry. In fact, if I would be really, really lazy, I wouldn't even need like the little sphere. I usually like to do the sphere because I like to see like the object that is attached to the light source. So I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to create a new family, which is also going to be a lighting fixture. Let's get out of Imperial, into Metric and lighting fixture, just metric lighting fixture, because all we need is to have a source. So there is my light source, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to create a little sphere, which is going to be the part that is going to have that glowing material. So I'm going to go here to front, and I'm going to, once again, use the revolve tool, and I'm going to make a little sphere. We said that the diameter was like 5 millimeters. Oh, it's too small. I need to zoom in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. 5. There we go. Now I'm going to go with line. I'm going to cut this guy in half. I'm going to go SL. I'm going to click it there. I'm going to go trim, 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 trim. And I'm going to pick my axes to be this reference plane and lock it. So those two are always together forever and ever. And finally, I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to give it the same material that the other one had. You know what? Yes, I'm going to give it the same material that the other one had, which was the glass high luminance. Bring it in, apply, okay. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this family with the name light bulb or lamp or like singular element. So I'm going to go save as family. I'm going to put it on my desktop for the time being, and I'm going to call this guy single bulb. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is load it into my bigger lighting fixture family. I don't need to keep this, so I can just go load into project. And now I can place it wherever I want it. So this second guy is supposed to be somewhere around here, I think. Now it's telling me that it's not showing it, and this is because of the height of this like top view, but don't worry, just go to the front view, and there is my second guy. Oh, it actually placed it exactly where it was supposed to go. Beautiful. Let's go on the left view, and it is also like perfectly aligned. Amazing, incredible. Wow. So here's the important thing, and this is the part where we need to pay a lot of attention. Because if I just load this into a project, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to come here and I'm going to save my guy and I'm going to load it into a project. I'm going to start a new project just so we can see it in a room, right? So I'm going to go with, why does it always want to go to Imperial? Let's just go with default metric. And what I'm going to do is I always like to create a little mock room so I can see how my lighting fixtures are working. So I'm going to go WA. And I'm just going to create a little room. I don't need it to be precise. I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to hold my lighting fixtures. I want to give it a floor and a ceiling because when I turn it on, I don't want the sunlight to come and take away from the power of my lighting fixture. So I always like to kind of like fully box in the room. I also like to create a 3D camera, which is going to allow me to see how the lighting fixture came through. So if I create this, it's a little bit high. There we go. There's my floor. And then I'm going to expand here a little bit and a little bit. Okay, so with this out of the way, what I'm going to do is select my lighting fixture and I'm going to load it into my project. So I'm going to go load into project and I'm going to place it, I don't know, right here. That's fine. Okay, so again, because of the height, it's not showing. So if I go to my 3D view, there is my beautiful child. Look at my beautiful lighting fixture. And again, what I always like to do is just kind of like do a quick little rendering to see how my lighting fixture is working. So I'm going to go down here to show render dialog. I'm going to leave it draft. I'm going to make sure that I set it up to artificial only. I don't want it is a fully enclosed room, but still, I do not need to see the sun. And I'm going to hit that render button. And we're going to wait. Ooh. Great. Except not really. I don't like it. Like, see what's happening here with the light at the bottom? I don't really like how the light is coming through. I kind of want to replicate a little bit closer what's happening with these beams here. So we need to edit this lighting fixture. But there is a bigger problem that I want to address. And that is the fact that although these two lights look exactly the same right now, that is because I haven't really touched them at all, like their properties. But look what's going to happen. If I select my lighting fixture and I want to edit the properties of the light, the way that you're going to do that is by going to edit type and going all the way at the end to the photometric properties. This is how you control the light source. And I'm not even going to mess up with this a lot. I'm just going to show you what happens if I decide to change the white color, the color temperature, white balance of the lighting fixture. So by default is 3000, which is a little bit too warm. Let's say in the reference picture, it looks a little bit whiter. So let's make it 4500, for example. And now let's re-render. So this is where the problem needs to be addressed. So if I re-render this, you're going to see that only one of them changed. And that is because the other one is still doing kind of like its own thing. So it is very important, and this is the reason, like, so reason number one that we nest is so we can have more than one light source. But more importantly, you need to make sure that you link the parameters of the nested bulb within the overall lighting fixture. So to do that, you're going to select your nested family. So see, this is my single bulb. We're going to go to edit type, and then we're going to go all the way down here, and we are going to relink all of these parameters. Even this one, light source symbol size, we're going to link it to the existing light source symbol type. And this is just basically going to do it so both of them behave like they are one. So I'm going to link all of these parameters, all of them. Okay, beautiful. Light source definition. I don't think I need to mess up with that, guys. So I'm gonna go okay. Oh no, actually, yeah. Let's do that. Well, no, because we don't want to give it anything right now. Yeah, no, let's leave that guy. So we're gonna go okay. We're gonna go apply, and now what's gonna happen is that if I save and I reload into my project, what you're going to see now, I'm only going to overwrite. I do not want to change the parameters because that's the light color that I changed. What you're going to see now is that if I render my lighting fixture again, now both of them will be the correct color. And that's it. That's how you can do it. Congratulations, you have a lighting fixture. Now that my lighting fixture is working, I can start working with the behavior of the light source. I'm not a huge fan of like the spherical light bulb for something that is so close to other surfaces. So instead, I would work either with the spot distribution or the one that I actually like to work with, which is IES. So when you select the light source and you click on light source definition, you're going to see that light sources are driven by two parameters. One is the shape. In this case, like point is fine, like it doesn't matter. But what really matters is the distribution. So the distribution is in which direction the glow goes. A spherical means that it goes in all directions, similar to what you would see with a traditional incandescent bulb. Hemisphere is a little bit better for the intents and purposes of this exercise because it's like cut in half. Now, this one is really good when you have light sources that are right next to a surface. So think about a floor light, think about a wall light, think about a ceiling light. Still not perfect. We have spotlight. Spotlight is going to basically generate a cone of light. This one could be better, but my favorites are photometric maps, also known as IES. So I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to go OK. And you're going to see that you're going to get a little weird preview here. So what's going to happen here is that we need to basically go to to the type properties. And all the way down here, we are now going to have to choose what this photometric web file is going to be. Now, the problem is that if you just open this in Revit, you just get a bunch of like random like names. And the thing is, like, I'm not a lighting designer, so I do not know any of these. These are just like gibberish numbers. There's a few that are pretty straightforward. Like, for example, you have somewhere down here, there's one that is like LED. What is it? Lamp. Where? Yeah, you have downlight LED. That one I understand. There is one that is like specific for walls. Hemi ideal, I think, is another good one. And then all the way at the end, I think there's one that is like wall washer. Yeah, wall wash LED. So there's a few that are a little bit clearer. Now, because I was having such a hard time, I actually made myself a cheat sheet. So I have a little document. Let's see if I can find it. I gave myself a little document that just has a little picture of the IES so I can figure out which one is which. And I have it somewhere here. Where is it? Here. just because I was having such a struggle, man. So it's this file over here. It doesn't have every single one, but it has kind of like the greatest hits. And that way I can basically look at the options here and be like, well, how do I want my lighting fixture to behave? And then I'm just going to choose based on that behavior. So this 5 feet, I kind of like that line that is generating, but the direction seems to be a little bit like off. Let's see, is there another one? Ooh, downlight LED might be a good option. I also like this DS1T5 because it has like a very short range. LGL LED is interesting. It's a little bit dramatic. There's a lot of good options here. Ooh, wall wash is interesting. Ooh, this one is very interesting. Let's go. You know what? This one is a little bit too aggressive. Let's go with spot ideal. No, this one covers too much space. You know what? Let's go with LGL LED. So I'm going to come back here and I am going to choose, where is LGL LED? And we're going to say okay, and we're going to say apply, and we're going to say okay. So what you can see now is that this basically defines the direction of the light source. So it is very important that when you choose a light source that is a photometric map, you kind of have to come back and like reorient it. So if we go to the front view, you can see that it's not straight. I needed to actually look up. And if I go to the left view, left view is fine. So let's see if I can change the position of this. Although it's actually, yeah, it should be like, I need to rotate this thing significantly. So let's see, can I do that? Can I rotate it? No, it's not going to let me rotate it. Or can I? Yes, no, I can rotate it. So let's say I am going to rotate it based on what? Can I place the rotation point? I do not know. Can I rotate it like this? Okay, yes, I can do that. If I go here to the 3D view, oh, that was the wrong direction. So I need to rotate it in the opposite. RO, 180. Okay. Where the hell am I? I'm getting so confused. Okay. So that's there, but where's my little, okay, my little sphere is still there. I think I just moved my little sphere all over the place. Okay, so that just must be like the cutting plane. So let me bring it. I think it was somewhere there. Okay, perfect. Okay, now this is making sense. Let's put you here. And if we go to the left view, okay, yeah, you're in the perfect spot. Beautiful, fantastic. Oh no, sorry, I needed to be going up. So let's go to the front view, and can I just rotate it the same way that I just rotated it? Yes, I can. I'm gonna place it right here with my little sphere. There we go. That's exactly what we want. Beautiful. Okay, so what needs to happen now, I think that this guy should be like, I need to go back to the original family and change it to photometric because again, remember, if we come back here, these guys still set up to be a sphere. So it's not going to be able to map things correctly in terms of the behavior. See, there's no photometric web map here. So I need to go back to the family, to this family, and I'm just going to change it to web. I don't necessarily need to do all the other changes because once they link, it will understand that it's supposed to have exactly the same shape as the other one. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to say that this is supposed to be a photometric web. Again, I'm not concerned with any of this right now. I'm just going to save. Do you want to replace? Sure. And I'm going to load it into my lighting family, not into the project. And override. Sure. Okay, so now that guy's behaving a little bit better. It has not changed yet because again, I need to tell Revit that it's supposed to link the photometric map as well. See, so that's what I was talking about when I was saying that they need to be the same kind of source. So now I can come here and say that this is going to be, what is the name of the parameter? Photometric web file. There you go. Okay, and then this is going to be the same tilt angle as the other one. So basically, there you go. I want both of them to behave the same. Now, I do need to manually rotate this guy like I did with the other one. So I'm just going to go RO. We're just going to wing it, man. Okay, good. And then I just need to go to the front view. Oh, perfect. And I'm going to go select you, RO, and I'm going to rotate you. Oh, is it not going to let me? Why are you not going to let me? RO, is it because it's a nested family? It might be. Yes. So if that's the case, what I am going to do here, That's a little bit annoying, but that's fine. What I can do is I can remove this link. I'm gonna say none. Okay. And then all I need to do is kind of like change the rotation. So let's see if I make it 0 and I say apply. That makes no sense whatsoever. What am I doing? Which direction are you going? Oh no, I mean, maybe 0. So if this is 0, do I need to go negative? What? This is so confusing. Lighting fixtures are difficult. Minus 60? Is that a number that you will let me? Yeah, okay, yeah. We got this. This was the plan all along. All right, beautiful. And again, anything that is linked together, when I change one of them, both of them will change. And what we care about the most is going to be light loss, initial intensity, and initial color. And those are linked, as well as the photometric wet map. So we're gonna go okay, we're gonna go okay, we're gonna save, and I'm gonna load it into my project just so I can verify that it is working the way that I want it to work. And we're gonna go back to our view, and we are going to re-render. Let's see how this is going to look now. Ooh, that's so much nicer. So as you can see, it's generating some interesting shadows based on the fact that like it's clipping into the other geometry. It's behaving very similar to what the light is doing. I can control the distance, like how far the lighting fixture goes by going into edit type. And that would be the initial intensity. So for example, if I go here, what I like to work with is illuminance, because illuminance allows me to choose both the intensity of the light and the distance. So for example, I can actually increase the intensity of the light if I would want to, but I can shorten how far it goes. So if I say that I want this guy to go maybe like just like 1,000 for the distance, and I go here and I go apply and I go okay, and I re-render, then this is going to give you a light that is more intense, but it's kind of like staying within the light source itself. See, so how now it's covering less distance. Let me, oops, no, not that button. Let me adjust the exposure because there's nothing else going on my scene. So this little guy, yeah. All right, so that's it. That is how you can make that lighting fixture. So it will not just look very similar to what you have in the reference for like the shape, but also the lighting behavior itself. So I hope you like this video. If you did, give it a like. If there's any specific kind of lighting fixture, other kinds of lighting fixtures that you would like to see me build, by all means, feel free to leave a comment and I will add it on the to-do list. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for sticking through, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.